Ethan stood in the long bank queue, shuffling forward slowly, feeling the familiar weight of embarrassment pressing on his shoulders. His clothes were clean but worn, his shoes scuffed, his hands roughened by long hours at the auto workshop. He didn't belong here. Everyone knew it, including him. But today he had no choice. His rent was due, his sister's medicine needed refilling. He needed to check if the overtime he worked had finally been deposited. He just wanted to check his balance. A loud laugh erupted behind him, turning several heads. A tall man in an expensive suit held his phone, looking at something on the screen and smirking smugly. He was surrounded by two assistants who nodded at every word he said, even though he barely seemed aware of their presence. His watch alone looked worth more than Ethan's yearly salary. That man again, someone whispered. The millionaire. Everyone seemed to recognize him. Alexander Grant, real estate tycoon, one of the country's youngest self-made millionaires, and a man who enjoyed showing it. He tapped his polished shoe impatiently as if the mere existence of a queue insulted him. Ethan stared forward and tried to ignore him, but the universe had other plans. When the line moved again, the assistant pushed Ethan aside slightly so Alexander could slide ahead. "Excuse me," Ethan said softly. Alexander didn't turn. "Relax, poor boy, I'm only taking a minute." The words cut deeper than they should have. Ethan swallowed hard. He didn't want trouble. Not here, not today. He stayed quiet, letting the insult hang in the air like smoke. When they finally reached the counter, Alexander leaned against it casually. "Morning. I need a confirmation printout for one of my accounts. Shouldn't take long." The teller nodded quickly, clearly nervous under his confident stare. Ethan stood behind him, waiting quietly, hoping this would finish soon. Alexander chuckled loudly as he glanced at Ethan again. "You look nervous, kid." "What? Checking if you have $10 left. Maybe 20 if you're lucky." A few people in line snickered. Ethan felt the heat rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "I just want to check my balance. Nothing more." Alexander laughed again. "Checking your balance? Why bother? Some numbers are too small to matter." The teller handed Alexander his printout, and he nodded in approval. "Good. Now, hurry up," he said, stepping aside. It was finally Ethan's turn. "Good morning," the teller said gently, sensing his discomfort. "How can I help you?" Ethan breathed in. "I'd like to check my balance, please." Alexander, overhearing, smirked and leaned closer, as if he couldn't resist adding one more jab. "Let's see what's in the treasure chest. Maybe he saved enough for a sandwich." Ethan ignored him, offering his ID card to the teller. The teller typed quickly, then frowned slightly. "One moment, sir," she said. Ethan's stomach knotted. That tone usually meant something bad. An error, an empty account, another setback he couldn't afford. The teller typed again. Her eyes widened. "Sir, your account. Are you sure you want the full balance printed?" Ethan blinked. "Yes. Is something wrong?" Before she could answer, Alexander leaned closer, grinning. "What? Did he overdraft by accident?" "Go on, print it. The suspense is killing me." The teller pressed print. The slip came out. She stared at it longer than usual before handing it to Ethan with both hands. "Sir," she whispered, "this is correct." Ethan unfolded the slip. His breath caught. His hands trembled. The number wasn't small. It wasn't normal. It wasn't possible. There were 8 digits. Millions. The paper nearly slipped from his fingers. Alexander, noticing his shock, burst out laughing. "What? Did you find $10? Show me, show me. I need a good laugh today." Ethan didn't speak. He couldn't. Alexander snatched the slip before Ethan could stop him. He glanced at the number. The smile vanished instantly. His eyes widened. His jaw tightened. The slip nearly crushed in his fingers. What is this?" he demanded, voice cracking. "This can't be yours." "It's my account," Ethan said quietly. "I don't understand either." Alexander's face flushed. Anger, confusion, disbelief mixing sharply. "Tell her to check again." The teller swallowed nervously. "Sir, I checked 3 times. The balance is accurate." Alexander's shock shifted into irritation. "How does someone like him have more money than me?" Ethan didn't answer, but the same question filled his mind. The room fell into whispers. Is he secretly rich? Maybe he won the lottery. Maybe he stole it. Ethan stepped away from the counter, clutching the slip. He felt dizzy. None of this made sense. His account had barely ever crossed $1,000, how could millions appear overnight? Just then, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered hesitantly. A calm voice spoke. Mr. Cole, yes. You need to come to Grant Industries headquarters immediately. Your presence is required regarding your late mother's legal documentation. My mother, Ethan whispered. My mother died 12 years ago. Yes, the voice replied quietly. And it seems she left something behind, something that was withheld from you. Ethan's heartbeat raced. Withheld? By who? There was a pause. By Mr. Alexander Grant's father. Ethan froze. Alexander's father. The billionaire. The man who once employed Ethan's mother as a housekeeper. The man who always treated her kindly, or so Ethan thought. The voice continued. Please meet us today. It will explain the balance you are seeing. The call ended. Alexander, still furious, came closer. What lies are you pulling? Why is my family's name involved? Ethan shook his head. I didn't do anything. They called me. Alexander scoffed. You expect me to believe that? But Ethan wasn't listening. He was already heading outside, adrenaline surging through him. Outside, the sun glared brightly, buses honked, people moved in every direction, but Ethan barely noticed any of it. He read the slip again and again, hoping it would change. Hoping it would make sense. Millions. From nowhere. Connected to his mother. He caught a bus to the city center, hands shaking the entire ride. Every bump made the slip flutter, reminding him this wasn't a dream. When he reached Grant Industries headquarters, a woman in a gray suit greeted him immediately. Mr. Cole, please follow me. She led him through polished halls, past portraits of the Grant family. At the end stood a large office, walls glass, floors marble. Inside sat an elderly attorney. He looked up as Ethan entered. You look exactly like her, the attorney said gently. Your mother had those same eyes. Ethan slowly sat down. Please, tell me what's going on. The attorney opened a folder. Your mother was more than a housekeeper to Mr. Grant Sr. She was his business partner in the early years. They built their first properties together. She invested her savings, her ideas, her time. Ethan's eyes widened. My mother. But she never told you. She wanted you to grow up without pressure or fear. And when she became ill, Mr. Grant Sr. promised to keep her shares safe until you were of age. Ethan's throat tightened. But why didn't anyone tell me? The attorney's face darkened. Because after your mother died, Mr. Grant Sr. passed away not long after. And his son, Alexander, hid the documents. He absorbed her shares into his own accounts. He concealed your inheritance. Ethan's breath stopped. Alexander had stolen from his mother. From him. For years, the attorney continued, we suspected something was wrong. But without proof, we couldn't act. Until yesterday. Yesterday, Ethan whispered. Yes. Alexander's assistant submitted a series of internal transfers. One of them accidentally uploaded the archived original partnership file, signed by your mother and Mr. Grant Sr. Immediately, your ownership stake was reinstated. The system automatically sent your dividends to your registered bank account. Ethan felt the world spin. So I really own this money. You own far more than that, the attorney said. You own 30% of Grant Industries. Ethan felt his breath leave him. 30% of a billion-dollar company. Before he could speak, someone burst into the office. Alexander. His face was pale, jaw tight, breathing uneven. He snarled at Ethan. You think you can take what's mine? The attorney stood firmly. It was never yours. You stole it. Alexander pointed a trembling finger at Ethan. You think you deserve this? You're nobody. You're a mechanic. You can't run a company. Ethan stayed calm. I don't want your company. I want what my mother earned. What she trusted your father with. Alexander slammed his hand on the table. I'm offering you a buyout. Take 20 million and give back the shares. The attorney raised an eyebrow. He is entitled to nearly 900 million in shares alone. Alexander swallowed hard. Fine. 50 million. Ethan looked at him. Really looked. The man who mocked him. Humiliated him. Called him poor. Pushed him aside without a thought. I'm not selling, Ethan said simply. Alexander's breath shook. You can't do this. I built everything. The attorney cut in. Your father built this. And he built it with Ethan's mother. Alexander glared at Ethan with pure hatred. You'll regret this. Ethan stood. No. For once in your life, you will. He walked out of the office, leaving Alexander trembling behind him. The elevator doors closed, and Ethan finally let out the breath he'd been holding for hours. Poor mechanic. Forgotten son. Now the rightful heir to everything stolen from his mother. When he stepped outside, the city looked different. The world looked different, not because of the money, but because the truth had finally surfaced. He walked away quietly, holding nothing but the slip from the bank. The same slip Alexander had laughed at. Until he saw the screen.